Hello, and welcome to another edition of Mainly NBA. Today we're breaking down the race for Coach of the Year award. Before we get started, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'd be very appreciated. Before we get started, I'm just going to mention my honorable mentions for Coach of the Year. I have three names. I have Doc Rivers of the Philadelphia 76ers. I have Nate Bjorkgren from the Indiana Pacers, and Monty Williams from the Phoenix Suns. Those are my three honorable mentions. So now we can get started with my second leading candidate for Coach of the Year, and that is the coach for the New York Knicks, Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau, he's been most notably head coach for the Bulls and the T-Wolves last few seasons. Um, he coached a Bulls team that was very competitive over a pretty good span of time in the early 2010s, but things ended shaky there. He went to the Wolves. His tenure with the Wolves wasn't great. They made playoffs one time, but other than that, they really weren't um, very competitive. But in his first season coaching the Knicks, he has them playing very well, and they're currently sitting as an 8 seed, which is, if they make the playoffs this year, it's not something I think has been done since Melo was back in New York. So something to look at. I seriously think that they could continue to be in the playoff contention towards the end of the season. This year's a little different. I believe if as long as you're within the top 10 seed, as long as you're within a certain amount of games, you can make a play-in tournament. So even if they maybe slip to like a 9 or 10, they can still compete for a playoff spot. I do think they will be at that point by the end of the season, as long as an injury doesn't happen to one of the better players, say like Barrett or Randall, or if they don't sell players at the deadline, which they obviously it could happen. They did that last year with Marcus Morris. Maybe they do that this year with some of their players that are expiring deals. And so that's number two. So Tom Thibodeau, my runner-up for Coach of the Year award, and my number one pick for Coach of the Year award is JB Bickerstaff of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now I'm sure you guys have probably all been following the NBA. The Cavs are playing really well. Colin Sexton, he's basically playing like an all-star caliber player. Um, Bickerstaff's a guy. He was an assistant head coach or associate head coach for a very long time in the NBA. He finally got some interim opportunities. He's only coached one full season, and that was the year right before the Grizzlies got Ja Morant. So the year leading up to them getting Ja Morant, that was his only full season as a head coach, and they weren't very good. It was a very old team. It was a team that really wasn't looking to compete, so you can't really hold that against him. He's been fairly good in a lot of his interim jobs. He did a good job last year with the Cavs, and that's why they decided to re-sign him or hire him as a head coach. And so far, it's really paying off. Right now, they're a 6 seed, and they are one game above 500. And this is looking like a trend that's going to continue. I mean, they might not finish the year as a 6 seed. There's some teams behind them that were projected to be a lot better than how they're playing right now, but I still think they could definitely be one of those top 8 seeds. And this is kind of coming out of nowhere because, I mean, they were bad last year, and Kevin Love really hasn't played. I believe he played the first 2 games. He's been out with like a calf strain or something like that. So they're doing that despite having a max player on the injured list, or the IR. Also, they just acquired Taurean Prince and Jarrett Allen, which I think definitely helps improve their team. I think Taurean Prince will help improve their defense and just their depth of the wing, and I think Jarrett Allen will be a big addition on pretty much every aspect of the game. And it's interesting what they're going to do with Andre Drummond. They might try and sell high on him at the deadline because he has been playing very well, and now they have the center of their future, and they have JaVale McGee, who's a pretty solid backup center. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, but I think if they keep both of them and maybe they even try and add another veteran piece to their team, I know PJ Tucker is available and he'd be a nice little addition to that. And there's a lot of guys out there that could help this team. I think that they can really compete for a 6 through 8 seed in the Eastern Conference, and I think if they are one of those teams that competes for one of those playoff spots, I think that JB Bickerstaff will come home with the Coach of the Year award. And that's all I have for you today. I'm going to try to upload at least once a weekend and then one time during the week. Now that I've finished the predictions, I'm really open to pretty much anything you guys suggest. I might just do things that interest me around the league, like stories or maybe impressive performances or rising stars. So it'll be kind of a little bit more free flowing. I'm done with all the predictions. So, and that's it. So I'll see you guys sometime next week.